Hey guys, what is up, Finesse family? Hopefully, everybody's having a great day today, guys. I'm so excited to be back with you guys and have another live stream today, guys. If you're new to the channel, thank you for being here. My name is Mrs B Finesse. All right. And the finesse stands for we are faithfully innovating, inspiring, naturally effective, and we seek success every day, guys. So today we are going to be talking about are people hopeless in relationships? All right. So I know when you hear that, there's so many avenues and facets to take this. So I'm super excited about this conversation. I definitely want to get into this. I wanted to see how the engaging, meaningful conversations that we can have from this about how people express hopelessness in relationships. And this could be the main basic relationship and then getting into all type of levels as we do here, guys. We always focus on the outward relationship when you're dealing just with men and women. And then we hone in on how this can affect us in all facets of life, guys. People today are just not satisfied in their relationships, and they find it hard to find people that are genuine and really want to have those meaningful relationships with them. And many suffer from a feeling of rejection and anxiety when they're dating or if they're in a committed relationship. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how people cope with it, the stigma of it, and how to move forward when you're dealing with that hopelessness. All right. In all types of relationships, guys. So I'm super excited to start. Make sure you guys hit that button on the way in. We are on our way to that 1K goal. Help get us there, guys. You know we're on the way. We're building this finesse fam. It's so engaging. It's so exciting to see it grow. And so let's get started, guys. All right, guys. Once again, make sure you guys hit that button on the way in. Hopefully, you guys are having a great day today, guys. So we're gonna get into this topic. Once again, guys, you know I always ponder on different ideas and topics. If you guys didn't know, I have still like 2 whole pages of topics just from having conversations with close friends, family, people around me. And today's topic is we're going to talk about are people hopeless in relationships? We're going to talk about the different aspects of how that affects you. Is it something you can tangibly see? Is it something that is going on rapidly right now in society? Are there ways that people can cope with it if they're feeling hopeless in these relationships? And then how do we move forward is what we're looking at here too, guys. So once again, when we're talking about dealing with the hopelessness of it, the expectation of joy, are you wanting joy in relationships? Are you just there to be there? Is there reciprocity? If you don't know what that is, reciprocity is the give and take aspect of something, where as you are giving, you're receiving, and vice versa. What are there different types of hopelessness? What does that look like? And what is going on with society today to even have a precursor of this hopelessness? What is going on? Or what are some things that you notice that maybe you've done in relationships that have led to this? And how can we change these things, guys? So once again, I'm super excited about that conversation. I know when we think about the aspect of hopelessness, how it consumes a person, and sometimes you're so stuck in a rut you don't even really realize that it's actually the ideal of you being hopeless. And what does it look like? Is hopelessness on the rise? And is that aspect of hopelessness linked to the ideal of even mental health? Is there a connection there? Is it the fact that I'm hopeless because of a situation I can fix? Or is it more so mentally? Is it something, a mental capacity that needs to be worked on, that needs to be touched based on? What does this look like actually in society? And what does this look like in our lives? Also, guys, we want to talk about how we're interpreting these things. What mental health looks like when, not mental health, I'm sorry, hopelessness looks like in situations, guys. I know I was looking through an article in Psychology Today, and I want to kind of go over what they were saying about hopelessness. I'm going to bring up someone else is going to talk on this subject with me. And we're just going to have a discussion today. If you guys are feeling hopeless in relationships or not, are we honest about that? Are we really honest about what we're going through in these relationships and what we're going through in life to make the changes, guys? So hopefully this does help somebody. If you know somebody that is going through this, make sure you share this with them so they can watch this content. Also, guys, we're going to go back to the format that got us here. Make sure, guys, after you watch the videos, go back and comment. All right. Comments help out a lot as far as viewer engagement. Make sure you guys comment. I so much appreciate it. There are many of you that went back and watched old videos and you commented. Thank you so much for that. As far as our view hours, we are over the top with view hours, guys. We're over 5,000. Now we're just going to keep trucking and get to our 1K. All right. So make sure you guys are sharing with this. If you don't know, once again, I'm Mrs B Finesse. And I am new to the whole social media game too. So once again, guys, if you have social media, make sure you are sharing that there. So when people come, you bring them, we'll keep them here so they can stay and learn and get engaged with the Finesse family. Thank you guys so much. Shout out to Friendsgiving. Thank you so much for that email. That was beautiful and awesome. Thank you guys that are going in the comment section, messaging me, letting me know how much the content is helping you guys. I so much appreciate it. And at so many levels, sometimes, guys, I don't even realize that it is affecting you the way it is. So thank you guys so much for that. I really appreciate the comments, the messages, the emails. Thank you guys so much for that. All right. So let's kind of get into this, guys, because there's, I've spoken with a good amount of you guys too on the back end. And I know a lot of times like that hopelessness feeling kind of comes up. Even in the sense sometimes, guys, when you are in the midst of working on goals, when you are in the midst of working on trying to get to a certain level, that idea of hopelessness can creep up on you. I know in many conversations with people, a lot of times, what I've heard, especially just me being on YouTube these past couple months, and streaming now 3 months, a lot of people have talked about the ideal that they really don't feel like they're going to find a viable relationship, or they feel like they're in a relationship, but it is something where it feels like it could get to the level of hopelessness. All right. So let me look in here. It says hopelessness refers to a state of complete lack of optimism. All right. So complete lack of optimism, or belief in or ability to respond to a situation. It says researchers theorize that when we frequently expect to encounter bad outcomes, we don't feel capable of changing them. All right. So if your expectation is that you're not going to get what you need and it's never going to change, 9 times out of 10, it's saying that you're incapable of changing them. And shout out to the Finesse family. I don't know if you guys noticed, does the picture look a little bit clear? Does it look different? Yes. Thanks to you guys, we have a new updated camera. So the visual quality of the Finesse fam moving forward hopefully will titillate your eyes now. And I just really appreciate you guys' sponsorship and support as we are moving up, moving forward, and trucking along in helping people with having these conversations with relationships. So shout out to you guys and thank you guys for that. Also, guys, it says this past year and a half has brought more than its share of negative outcomes. It says perhaps you've lost a loved one, lost a job, or struggled financially and had to adapt with working remotely or homeschooling your kids. Or you're struggling with depression or anxiety, or you feel alone. It says maybe it seems that each time we take a step forward, immediately were met with challenges. And I know a lot of times, especially even talking to you guys here on the channel, talking to you guys, to those in consulting with people, coaching them, I know a lot of times people get stuck in a rut, which means they really feel, once they've been through so many bad things, negative things, so many hurts, that they kind of stay in that place. And so they really don't want to move forward. They really don't want to try new things. They really don't want to try new relationships. And it gets to a sense of hopelessness, in a sense. Sometimes they don't want to admit it, but yeah, you're in a whole mindset of hopelessness. Even dealing with the name of the channel, the website, the whole business aspect of millennial finesse mindset, guys, you have to get your mindset where it needs to be. Sometimes you have to get around people that have the same mindset as you. Sometimes you have to shed people that are around you that don't have the same mindset. Sometimes that idea of hopelessness can be who's around you too. The ideals of them taking from you, or taking your positiveness or your energy or your ideals or even your ideas, those type of things can make you hopeless. But you have to recognize when you fall into that, because that's a cavern that can just lead you down to an endless moat. All right. You have to pay attention to the hopeless aspect. It says researchers have been tracking rates of hopelessness throughout the we'll say C19. All right. So they've been tracking this hopelessness. So this is a thing, guys. This is not just me arbitrarily up here talking and saying my feelings. This is in Psychology Today, and they've been tracking this ideal of hopelessness throughout this whole C19. It says a recent study found significant higher levels of hopelessness among, obviously, healthcare workers, individuals who've lost their income, and individuals who've gotten C19 or family members have. It says hopelessness should be taken serious. All right. And this is why we're having this conversation, because if you guys are getting this mindset of hopelessness and it's coming to a point where it's consuming you, then we got to have these conversations. So we're going to talk about how to cope with this. We're going to talk about what it looks like. We're going to talk about the aspect of this in relationships, the levels of relationships, and we're just going to have that family talk that we need to have, guys. So let me see what's going on in the chat, and then I'm going to bring one of my guests up. Guys, let me know how the camera looks. Is it clear to you guys or not? Let me know. Let's see. As always, Trash Can Waves is usually the first person in the comment section. He's saying, Mrs. B, I saw your doppelganger today. And who's my doppelganger? Trash Can Waves. We have Big Bad Bull in the building. He says, hey, Mrs. B Finesse and Finesse family. Hope everyone is being positively productive today. Thank you for that, Big Bad Bull. Yes, we are getting things done. We have the one and only Adrian Nash. He says, if a person has good problem-solving skills, there is always hope. Yeah, a lot of times too, Adrian, people don't really realize that hopeless feeling is more so you over-consuming what you're walking in, or like what's in front of you. A lot of times you have to kind of be strategic minded. And once you start doing that, your brain and your mindset will start shifting and changing. But if you keep repeating the same words, the same thoughts, I'm never going to have this, I'm never going to be happy, I'm never going to find somebody that cares about me and loves me, I always see my other friends getting it and I don't. Those ideals and those wordings will keep your mind trapped, right? Hey, Vaughn, shout out to Vaughn. Thank you so much, Vaughn. Moderator extraordinaire. He says, if you're just joining the stream, welcome. Please feel free to hit the like button. We have Pure Pondering. She says, good day, everyone. Hopefully you are doing well, Pure Pondering. Yes, our topic today is, are people hopeless in relationships? And there's definitely a lot of levels to this, guys. So we're going to take it wherever we need to take it today. All right. Pure Pondering says, I've been in hopeless situations in the past. When the other person won't work with you to fix the problem, exit the relationship. That is great to start off with. You are so right, Pure Pondering, because a lot of times, and that's just the humanness in many of us, because a lot of times, we talk about the ideal of giving grace and, allowing people a second and third chance and things of that nature. I still do believe in that, but you have to have wisdom, which is discernment. Discernment is an ideal of you can kind of juxtaposition and watch a person, see how they move, see how they are honoring you, see how they are respecting you, and even giving you favor. Watch the things that you've done for them. Are they doing that back for you? Are the things you're giving to them, are they giving it back to you? The honor that you're giving them, are they honoring you back? Or is it just they received? They did what they wanted to receive what they wanted from you. All right. So you have to pay attention to that. All right. Because a lot of times you can find that you can stop yourself from getting too far in. And it's okay, guys. If you've been in this, I mean, everybody has. I don't think it's too many people that haven't been in the situation of hopelessness. A lot of times you realize once you shift your mind and once you change the things you're saying and your thoughts and get away from those people, a lot of times you have to love people from afar, guys. And it's okay. And if they don't respect that you love them from afar, they were never a friend. I know a lot of times, especially the people that I'm super, super close to, like best friends in my life that I'm close to, if there's times where it'll be, I don't know, a day, a week, so much time where we don't get to talk, they still will not hold that against me. They still will not say, well, you haven't called me, you haven't talked to me, because they know how close we are and they understand, okay, she's busy, she's a mom, she has a baby, she has a whole life with a family. If we don't hear from her, we're going to charge it to the game, not her heart, right? So a lot of times people don't want that because they're so used to wanting and taking from you. Like they don't understand that a lot of times, okay, if somebody didn't call me, it's okay. Let me call them. Let me check on them. Let me see if everything's okay. So understand that. A lot of times, and not every time, you won't get the reciprocity exactly back. But as you are moving forward in that relationship and that association, you should see some sort of reciprocity, give and take. All right. I'm still getting used to this new camera, guys, because it just went off on the screen, but you still see me. So yay, it's still hooked up. We have Ine in the building. She says, hey, Mrs B Finesse. Hey, Ine, how are you? We have, oh, Vaughn, did you accidentally forget to hit the like button? Hit it on the way in, guys. Let's see. Ine says, upgraded pixel, good for you on the new camera. Yes. And actually, guys, I've had it. I was just figuring out how to kink it up and hook it up. So I had to get the capture card right and other little pieces to it. So yeah, we're official up in this piece. Yeah, and I'm looking at it too. It looks like a lot different. So shout out to you guys. You guys sponsoring the stream and all the support has upgraded the Finesse family here. So thank you guys. Shout out to you guys for that. Let's see. Hey, just Kaya. She says, morning, I made it to your live stream. Yes, I always forget too that I'm on the East Coast, guys. So my California people, I don't know, are you guys on Mountain Time? My California people are just like waking up right now. You guys are just rolling out of bed or just getting up, headed to work. So shout out to California and the California people, Vaughn and just Kaya. Thank you guys for being here. Hey, little bro. We got Before the Billions. He's saying salute. Before the Billion says, what is a hopeless relationship? He's got the eyes looking. So I'm gonna add to my stream my special guest that I have today, and then we're going to keep talking about it. So once again, we have Dr. P in the building. Dr. P, how are you doing today?
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am doing good. I know, like I said, Dr. P, this topic with hopelessness, it is something that I've heard many that I've talked to, work with, coached, consulted with, and even in the aspect of in the school system, working with teenagers and young adults on this topic of hopelessness and relationships. It's very heavy. And even now with everything going on with C-19 and, all the worries exacerbated on people, this idea of hopelessness is rampant. So I definitely felt it was important. It's important to speak on, especially in relationships, because I've heard I've heard the idea of people saying many times they don't believe in relationships, they don't believe they can find the right person. The people out here now are not worthwhile, and in some aspects that is true, Dr. P. But I definitely want to do a real world conversation on this and kind of see what we can do, what we can notice about ourselves, and how we can actually move forward if we have this ideal of hopelessness, and how to kind of change our mindset with it, how to change the dynamic of what that looks like. So what did you what do you see as far as hopelessness in relationships, and what does that mean to you? Oh, okay. I forgot that she had okay guys, so once again, if you're just getting in, Dr. P has a phone call right now. So let me finish reading what's going on in the chat. Let's see what you guys are saying. Yvonne says, if you would like to be notified when Mrs B Finesse goes live, hit ring the bell, ring the bell, ring the bell. Make sure you guys hit that. Let's see. Pure Pondering says, counselor to ex-husband. What's the one thing that's same in all of your failed relationships? X. I don't know. Counselor. Deadpan face. Think about it for a minute. And you know what, Pure Pondering, that's really, really something that we do have to pay attention to in relationships. We definitely have to pay attention to like what are the things that are recurring, and what are the things that we see are going on in a multiplicity of times. I think it's important too that we notice, let me let Dr. P finish our conversation. I think it's important too that we notice what is reoccurring, what is happening over and over again in our relationships. I also know that that hopeless feeling a lot of times, guys, is something in an ideal of how you're guarding your heart. I know a lot of times we get frustrated. We get distracted and frustrated with what we're seeing in relationships, how we're coping. I know a lot of times, like I said, guys, the big focus and the ideal of us is the mindset. We have to focus on the mindset. And I know you guys are going to hear me say this so many times because it's imperative. The mindset is super important. And as you move forward, your mindset needs to be one that, oh, okay, hold on. She just texted me, says she's back. Your mindset has to be one so that you can be prepared for whatever is coming up in situations. As we talked about this, they said that unsurprisingly, the rates of depression and anxiety have also risen significantly over the course of the pandemic. We know that, guys, especially with people having loss and losing family members. It says many factors contribute to someone's level of hopelessness. One factor has to do with the negative consequences and conclusions that you're faced, and also, guys, your interpretation. So Dr. P, oops, I didn't even see you're in the back room. Dr. P, I had asked you a question earlier as far as hopelessness. Can you kind of tell me what that looks like, and to you, the aspect of hopelessness, why we're seeing it so much in relationships?
Sure. First of all, let me apologize. I had a student that she missed me and she just wanted to see me 5 minutes. That's what she said. So she came in to see me because she missed me. But I told her I don't miss her too much yet. So I told her come back. I'm joking. I let her see me for 5 minutes. But hopelessness and why we see a lot of it. A prime example of this young lady. She came in here and she looked it down because what it was, she hadn't seen her favorite person. And so her favorite person is me. And so she just needed to see me. But when she walked out of here, she was a little bit happy because she knew I was here today. Hopelessness in relationships is because we're dealing with the not only the stress that we deal with every day, going to work, picking up groceries and stuff like that, and trying to balance life. But now we're on top of that, we have COVID. And so now we're all just trying to balance.
Dr. P say C19.
Gotcha, because I was about to say it.
We don't want to trick that algorithm. Yeah.
I remember the last time when I was like, nope, it's C19. I got
It's
you.
all good.
So with C19, we're all just trying to balance, and it throws a new framework into our balance of life. If you're married, then that balance has been there. You probably know that one like the back of your head. But now we are C19, and your balance is thrown off a little bit, because now we got to know how to function being this is being home all the time. Like, what can you go out with your friends? No, you can't, because they don't want to go get vaccinated, and they don't want to get a mask. So it's hard because we're spending more
Oh, we
time with
gotta
their
say the jab. We can't say that word. I forgot about that
okay.
word. Nobody ain't said that in so long. The jab.
Yeah. So so it puts you in a predicament to where either you're going to be anxious and things are not going your way, so you're feeling a little bit more hopeless, a little bit more sad, and then we all know that's the common signs of a start of being put yourself into a depressive mode, because your mind, again, that mindset, your mind is telling your brain that your body that we can't function like this, and we're just tired and exhausted from it. You hear people every day say, I'm tired and I'm exhausted. And they are, because they told themselves that they were tired and exhausted. So the body becomes tired and it becomes exhausted. So we are seeing a lot of it these days because of those particular things that are happening in our lives, and how we're trying to balance them with C19 and other, because our other problems that we had before this did not stop. They did not stop. um so like, it's just that band-aid. You just keep putting it on and on. It didn't stop. Now you got something else on there. So yeah, it's gonna increase too.
And shout out to Intentional Millionaire. He's in the building. And we have OG Patrice saying greetings, greetings. All intentional. He's on the East Coast. And we got OG. She's on the West Coast. Well, she's Nevada. So, not Nevada. I'm sorry. Arizona. So, shout out to you guys. Thank you for coming through, stopping by, showing love. My question, Dr. P, as I look through this, and this is so common to me because I hear this all the time. I hear this with young adults, with adults that I talk to. I hear this with the teenagers. It's so rampant, the idea of hopelessness. My question to you though, in your eyes when you see it, because I kind of discuss what I see it is as far as hopelessness. Do you think hopelessness is more so like an interpretation bias, which means like, is it more so how you see the situation, or is hopelessness more so really the act of what you're going through? And I'm asking you that in a sense of, do we choose to be hopeless?
Both.
Okay, expound on that.
And let me explain to you why both. One, because of the simple fact that we do sometimes interpret a situation to be hopeless, and that's the way we think. Of course, that's that mind thing. And so you appear to start to become hopeless because you think you can't get out of it. You think that there's nothing that's going to actually get you out of it, right? And then you have that other hopelessness where it is, you can't help it. You have some people who suffer from a number of things, and get this one, they can't help it because years of years have piled up on it. And so they're and those are the people that we diagnose with depression. Those are some of the people that have it so severe that you need to be sitting on the side of them, saying, encouraging them every day. That's the ones that if you ain't heard from them today, you need to call them and say, hey, because those are the ones that actually
That's
say,
true.
I'm waking up every day, I'm trying, but I just can't come out of it. And so again, when we're looking at it, do we say that a person chooses to be hopeless or not? Probably not. Do we say some people do? Probably so. But again, it's all that mindset. And the thing about it is that when somebody is depressed or something is known, we have to do a series of things with them, but we always
Right.
tell them it will never go away. That's why we tell everybody, everybody at some form, shape, or thing is depressed.
Exactly. I let
You're
my
depressed
students know
about
that.
something.
Yes.
Do they like it? No, they don't. The problem is that you got better coping skills than somebody else. So that doesn't necessarily mean that they're choosing to be. hopeless at that time. They just have a better sense of how to control it at that particular time and get back. They have those positive phrases and get back to where they need to be. So they don't sit in it as long as other people. But if you have no support, you have nobody who you have somebody who thinks that you can choose whether or not to be, then those are going to be the ones that are going to hinder the ones that are sitting in that, and because they don't believe them because of their mindset. And yeah, that in particular. So both of them, you can do both.
All right, Dr. P. So my question to you is, as far as you talked about hopelessness and then depression, do you feel like that we can get out of the hopelessness? As far as, is it extreme depression you feel like people are in right now?
Not everybody. Everybody is individual and unique, you know. So that means that what's important to one person might not be important to another person. I tell the teachers that all the time here, and my clients' parents, some of them, and my clients. What might be important to you is not important to other people. So the way they handle things and the way they do things is it might not be what you think they should be doing, because we're in this, you know. Like me, I'm happy go lucky every day of the week, you know. So long as I got my coffee. Well, you have some people who are in my situation who are taking it a little bit harder. The stress from their job is on top of them. The stress from home is on top of them because they don't balance as well as I balance. Well, is not my importance is not um, where their importance level is. So, in saying that, we just need to make sure that we're attending to everybody's importance. And so, with that being said, um, it takes a good couple of people to say whether or not they're in that mode or not. And being depressed, we do see a lot of it, not as severe as you want to see the depression, but people are still dealing with it. It might be at the top, and that's what makes being in a hopeless relationship, or getting in a hopeless relationship, or even staying in a hopeless relationship, so important, because we have to recognize that. And some people are so trying to figure out everything and so kind of balance everything out, that they are forgetting to identify whether the relationship is causing them some hopefulness. And I say that because if you're a couple and you're in a relationship and that person is not a relationship, when you get in a relationship, it's supposed to be a level up, not a downfall. So your relationship, if it can't help level you up, then you need to come out of it. You know, you need to identify what's keeping you in this relationship. Do some pros and cons. um and if it's too much of a downfall or too much of a con, then you need to come out of it. And I know I say that with ease, but in reality, it could be the cause of your hopelessness, you know, or you're down. If you feel like, oh my God, I don't want to go home every day, then you need to reevaluate that relationship, because it might be causing some of your hopelessness. And then, like I've said before, you need to accept that it's okay to let people go, you know. Y'all might have been together for a very long time. Just accept that it's time to let that person go. um, because relationships do cause a lot of hopelessness, and so you just have to know how to do that um, in hindsight and stuff. So, um, oh well, thank you so much and stuff. So, uh, let's see.
Dr. P, can you see? Am I?
I can't see at all. That's the
Okay, I'm
thing.
trying to add my. Okay, let me get my.
That's the thing. And I think I answered your question. I don't know where you had went, but yeah, I think I answered your question. Just couldn't put it
Okay,
down. Yeah.
all right. I'm trying to get this. Okay, let me switch this real quick. Okay, so I'm looking at the studies and I'm going back over. Let me switch this one. I'm going back over what I'm seeing in the study, Dr. P, and I'm looking at the dynamic of relationships and hopelessness. And I know a key thing that I heard a lot as far as relationships. I accidentally kicked this off, but it's all good. Okay, guys, I'm working in the background with the screen, so work with me here. We're having screen issues. It's all good. I think I accidentally kicked it off, but it's all good. So anyways, got Dr. P.
Mhm.
My question to you is, as we're looking for expectations in relationships. There we go. Okay, as we're looking for
Hmm.
picking the capture card. Okay. Um, as we're looking for expectations in relationships, Dr. P, do you feel like we have to have this aspect of being joyful all the time? Do we need to have like a sense of being joyful? Is my question.
As an expectation, but whose expectation? Because if it's your expectation, you're gonna let yourself down. I always tell people, get in something with no expectations, but get in something of what you choose and
Mm-hmm.
what you set that goal up to be whenever you get in a relationship. Nobody should
Mm-hmm.
set expectations. You shouldn't have
Hmm.
expectations for anyone, unless they've earned that expectation. Because the simple thing is, they will always let you down. You understand? Um, Prime
So wait a
example.
minute, Dr. P. You said you shouldn't have expectations for anyone, and I
No,
don't know
but
if
you
you
should
guys.
have goals. So
No, no,
goals and
no.
expectations are different. Are
No, I know,
different.
I know, and I
Yeah.
wanted to expound on that. Don't lose your thought.
Oh.
I wanted to expound on that, Dr. P, because I always say this, and I think a lot of times us as human beings, we get so caught up with people and them being there and like that trust aspect in people that a lot of times like you have to give kind of people the grace to mess up, and when they do mess up and ump up, which they will, or they do, you find out that they used you, or you find out that they got over on you, or you find out they were with you just because like maybe what you have or your I don't know, your essence, or maybe who you knew they were around you for that, and you find that they don't, then it's okay. You just have to know at that point, are you still going to stay linked to that person, or are you going to release them? So I'm in agreement with you as far as that. And I
Mhm.
definitely wanted to add that in because I think a lot of times we get so caught up in that. So what's your perspective in that? Because
Yeah, definitely. We get so caught up in setting expectations for people that we don't even know what they're capable of, and so it doesn't allow that grace for them to mess up. Because the minute they mess up, then that's the minute we want to say something. But the truth of the matter is if you don't have expectations, then you can know what their expectations are. I might can only go to level 2, but you expecting me to go to level 4. Who told you I can go to level 4? Because I might be only capable, but that's the expectation that person had. Then who gets let down? That person gets let down. So again, it's unrealistic to have expectations for a person that you don't even know, or and I say it, you can gain it, because then if you know where they are, then you can start giving them that. And that's what trust. I give people as much trust as I can, but you need to earn all the trust. So am I just going to give somebody all my trust and think that this person is? No, not. You can earn my trust. And it's just like a baby. What a baby tends to stick to its mom in the beginning. Now, aunts and uncles come around from mom's arm. They kind of play a little bit. That's because they don't really trust aunt or uncle right now. I seen you for merely 10 minutes. You want me to come in your arms and stuff like? No, I'm gonna stay over here with mom and daddy. But then as the years or as time go by and aunt and uncle visit more and they start to see aunt and uncle more, then that trust starts to build with that child. It works just that way when we're as adults also, and as young teenagers. Stop giving all, because you're going to be let down in the long run because of what you've given out. And again, does that, yeah, that cause hopelessness? Because then you're gonna start to say, "Oh, all men ain't this. Men can't do this. I can't keep a relationship going. Why this?" And then you become in denial of the things that you have done. You become in denial of the expectation that you set on that person instead of the goal for the relationship that you set. And then you gave all that person your trust in one day. I'm not saying don't trust them, but don't give them all the trust. It's steps. So, she say her 6-year-old won't even talk. Yeah, they gotta come. They gotta bring that. They gotta earn that 6-year-old trust. That 6-year-old don't know them people yet. And so that's why we say you have to be present in somebody's life. You have to show them what you want to have. If you want if your relationship person, get this one. This is how you know. If you get in a new relationship and he started off calling you every day, and then all of a sudden he slack off. Well, maybe that wasn't his thing. So that's why you got to give it some time, because if you
That's true.
don't, the next week when he gonna start calling maybe once a day, because he might have was on vacation that week before, when he gonna start, that's his true. And so you need to be honest, and you need to talk to him and be like, "Hey, you was calling me every day. What's going on?" And I'm pretty sure he'll say, I went back to work. Okay, I got the expectation. When he's working, he could call me less. When he's home laying around the sofa and ain't got nothing to do, he's gonna call me more. I got that. Now I've set that for him. And then we can kind of move on from that. Now he gets a little grace. Now he starts to get a little grace in my mind, in my body, in my soul. And my brain is okay with that.
Well, Dr. P, okay, so when we're dealing with hopelessness and we're talking about grace, when do we cut off the grace? Like at what point do you let somebody slide? Let somebody not call you enough. Let somebody, you calling them, they don't call you, they call you, you're not calling them back. Like at what point do you say, okay, I need to maybe cut ties, I guess you could say, as far as when we're dealing with hopelessness in relationships,
Well,
because a lot of times, go ahead.
oh, well, it just depends. I'm an adult and I don't like games. So I'm gonna set my goals and I'm gonna give my goals at the beginning of the relationship. First of all, if you're not looking for what I'm looking for, we can call it the end right now. You know, so you have to be honest with yourself, and be able to say what you want. This is my goal right here. I don't have time to play games. I want what I want. Vice versa in a relationship. And if you're not looking for a relationship, just me and you want to see other people, I'm not the relationship for you. We too old to be dating, because
Right.
I mean, come on, let's be honest. We're adults. What's a date? I'm gonna go on a date with multiple people. No, because then it takes my mind away from somebody who could be good. We adults, we really don't have time for all that right now. So I'm an adult, so I'm gonna set some goals off in the beginning when we first sit together. So, tell me what you like. Tell me how often you like to communicate, because I'm known for not communicating that much. I'll give you an
Yeah, me
example.
too.
When I
Me
started
too. I'm bad
and I'm
about
gonna be
conversating
honest and
back.
I'm being transparent. When I started
It's
my
so bad.
relationship, because it wasn't a date. When I started my relationship, I had 5 goals, and then I told him, I said, his expectation was for me to call all the time. Guess what? I'm not a phone person. I care less for technology these days. And matter of fact, I leave my cell phone in my car, and people call me all day, and I'd be like, I'm good. But that was
I'm the
his
same way.
expectation. That's right. That was his expectation. Is that was one of his goals? Is that the person that he is with, is that she calls him, and it doesn't have to be all day, but like in the middle of the day or something like that. So that was doable. Like I can kind of change that, But now he knows me. My expectations is I don't like a phone sometimes. So guess what? Guess what happened? I set my own expectation for him. He know if I don't answer my phone, then I must not have it with me, or I'm somewhere. He okay with that. But had he had unrealistic expectation for me, and had we not discussed how I answer the phone and how I play with phones and stuff, then he would have never known that I'm not a phone person like that. So it's just some things that you have to set off from the beginning. And talking
That's true.
about the things that people say are unhard or that are hard to talk about are not hard at all. Just talk about them, because then you're going to be sitting around in a hopeless relationship because y'all didn't get all the communication that y'all needed out. Number one, if y'all can't communicate, then how y'all going to be in a relationship?
I think that's imperative. I think the
If you
communication
can't
part is
sit, yeah,
imperative.
you're right. If you can't sit and y'all can't talk about any and everything, then again, who keeping all the stuff that they got balled up inside of them?
Right.
And then you become hopeless with that because you can't talk to somebody and say, man, I ran over that dog yesterday and I felt no remorse. Or,
Shout out to
you know,
Peter. Shout out to Peter before you get them on me. We not running over dogs over here.
that
You're
was
not
an
running over
accident.
dogs.
And you don't know how to, but look, but you don't know how to, you don't know how you feel about it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
Right.
people get, things are emotional for people today. And I love pets and I love dogs. And if you roll over my puppy, I'm going to be emotionally hurt. And if I touch any other on accident because it ran into the street, I'm going to be emotionally hurt. I need to go talk to somebody about that. But if you can't, then you're going to harvest that in, and then somebody's going to say, why are you so sad?
I think this is important too, Dr. P. Cars said, I see a lot of unrealistic dependencies. And I
Yeah.
think a lot of times, oh man, I heard a quote, somebody said it was so good. They were like, two half people coming together cannot make a whole person. So basically, when
Correct.
you're broken and you're scarred and you're just really looking for somebody to feel that brokenness, instead of you having a relationship, and relationship is like you're giving and taking. It's not you're sucking out of somebody or taking everything you want from that person. I
Mm-hmm.
think two half people cannot make a whole, and I think a lot of times I think that's the discrepancy in relationships. I think it's more so people are jumping like from one relationship to another because they want to be filled up with that whatever love, or filled up to say I have a person, and this is not just love relationships. This is friendships. This is connections at work. This is all kind of aspects of it, because a lot of times you look for what you're missing in relationships. Whatever you're empty in, you pull and get that from another person. So let's say you are I don't know. Let's say like you really don't want to deal with like anger and negativity. You really will pull that from another person if you haven't dealt with that inside of you. Do you get what I'm saying? Maybe something you went through when you were younger, you went through in your childhood, and we have to be cognizant of that. How much of a reflection, Dr. P, do you think that has in these relationships that people are consuming?
Well, the thing about that is that two half people can make a whole if they are honest with themselves and say they have, because you have to know
Yeah.
what you have to know what part that you're not getting to be here with this person. And y'all have to also remember, we're all not perfect. So in
Exactly.
some shape or form we're gonna not be a whole person, but you also have to get with that person that also understands that um I know I have some issues, I know I'm not whole, you know, but can you still be there for me when that time comes to help me get whole? And I used to tell somebody this all the time. We hold so much inside of us of what somebody else done to us.
Yeah,
We
it's true.
rely on that one. But in reality is you can put a band-aid on it, you can push it to the bottom and stuff like that, right? Now, this person that's coming into your life, how does he or she show you that she not like the rest of them? Well, guess what? They got to trigger something. So they're going to probably do some stuff that's going to trigger your past. But their outcome is not going to be like your past. So again, then you start to become healing from that. And then that person is healing you from that. Because now I'm showing you that I might trigger that, but now watch my actions and my outcome is different from what happened versus that one. Then you truly start to heal. Then guess what happens? That person does the same thing. Y'all sitting, y'all talk, and then that other person begins to heal until y'all are healing. So y'all actually kind of seeking. and y'all kind of fulfilling each other's void. And that's what makes it, because
And
you
but
have to have somebody to do, I mean, you have to have somebody to help you heal, because if
you
not, you're never going to heal.
Yeah, but you got to be careful with that because you
True.
really have to discern that, because what you said is what a lot of addicts do. You know what I'm saying? What you said is what a lot of people that have severely strong addictions, they look for somebody else that like that has that same whatever, and it's really kind of like a destructive bomb that's about to go off. So I think more so, even dealing with that, you said two halves can come together, they can, but you really, there have to be some discerning halves, because if that's the case, many relationships are two halves coming together, but those two halves are, they're empty in a lot of spots. So like what I'm empty and I'm looking for it out of you, but you can never give it to me because you're still looking for that in itself. So let's say like you want to be um a more forceful, I guess you could say, or you want to be more confident with speaking. So the person that I'm dating, they're very good with speaking, and I know I'm
Mhm.
not. That's to me where two halves can meet to fill each other. But if I'm not good at speaking and you're not good at speaking, we're gonna have a tough problem being together and trying to fill that hole because we both are suffering. Do you get what I'm saying? It's got to be some type of balance with that. And
I
so
hear you. You know what? I hear you when you say that, but it's the same thing as communication. I
mhm.
understand that it has to give that, but it also has to be, can that grow together? Like, we're saying that it can't happen, you know. In reality,
Yeah, you
it
don't want to have
can.
enablers. That's true.
Right.
That's what I'm
And so
saying.
the
Enablers, like
and
somebody
so
that's just
but that's different, because that's when you want to look at, is it leveling you up or is it your downfall? Because you're going to be able to see that in the
yeah,
beginning. I mean, you're
but
going to see that in the
I
little
think
bit, whether
I
or not
think
it's
that's
going
tough,
to
Doctor
hinder you
P.
or a thing.
If you're missing, you don't see because you're not there. You're not where you need to be. So I think that would take a very strong person and a strong willed half to really pull on another half. But just kind of like here what cars is saying, pretty hard to water the growth of a relationship if the flower pot is broken. And basically, like if I'm super broken at one thing that you're super broken in, we connect on our brokenness, but going forward, we have to really be working hard. So I can concur with what you're saying when we are both working on the brokenness together going forward. But if we're broken and we have an addiction together and we stay broken, and we're broken and we're dealing with, I don't know, losses together or whatever, and it's not coming to a head, I think that's where the enabling will start. But yes, if we're growing together in our brokenness, yes, I think that's a perfect equation for something that's going to be like a blessing, because you guys talked and you had a certain thing that you dealt with together. But I'm coming to find, and you let me know if you agree or not, Dr. P, that many relationships they're not really functioning in that capacity. What do you think?
They are, and it's on. Like I said, it's only because of what we're going through right now. A lot of people are throwing it out the door, or they're not understanding it, because they're under too much stress. It's something that a lot of people don't want to deal with, because they
Right.
think that it right now everything else that they have to do comes before that, you know. So that's why you get people staying in relationships a lot and going through it, because it's, a lot of people saying it's better to stay. You don't know what I'm going through right now. So definitely, you know.
Let's see. Pure Pondering says, I've been working on I think she's myself since I was about 15. He says, here I am decades later, and every time I get one thing resolved, something new comes out of those compartmentalized boxes. I'll let you respond to that one, Dr. P.
Yeah, I call them suitcases, and how you unpack them.
Oh, good. I
And
like that.
I start from, I tell them, start from the bottom suitcase and unpack. And you're right, something else is gonna come up, and something else is gonna come up. But that's the part that you have to be honest with yourself about. I fixed this, now it's time for me to fix that, because something else is gonna come up. You're never gonna stop fixing.
That's
You
true.
can be whatever and be in the happiest relationship ever. You're never gonna stop fixing what needs to be fixed. Simply because it's our life, and things change and things happen, and there's nothing that is going to say that we're all going to have the perfect life, and we're going to go down the perfect path and stuff. So I can just imagine, I even skipped some years. And so it does get easier, but like I said, you have to be honest with yourself, and you have to look for those things, because again, it lives. And then sometime when you're tired, is you're unpacking all these suitcases and boxes. When you're tired, that's when it becomes a factor for you. And so again, that's why I said, sometimes, and it depends on the person, that you get with, or that you're trying to get with. Make sure
Yeah.
they bring something to your life, regardless if y'all unpacking together. Who knows? They might go through it and see it another kind of way that you didn't see it back then. But y'all have to be on the same page. And y'all have to be willing to work at it.
I feel
So
like
don't
it's
just
imperative too.
work. Yeah. So don't just work on you. Don't just say I don't want to be in a relationship because I'm still working on me. What part of you is ready to be in a relationship? What part of you have fixed that? What part of you have owned what you did in the previous relationship,
That's true.
so that you can change it,
That's true.
and
I,
then
I I
you
think it needs
find
to be
that.
a time limit to that. I think
Yeah,
when
because
you're
other
going
than that, you're
years
gonna
and
be, I
years,
just broke up.
yeah, saying that,
A
because
little
then,
woman, 46 years old, never had,
well, but
was a
that's
virgin,
common.
never had a man, and
That's common. And I feel like if
not
that's a choice,
so.
especially if that's like some type of, religious thing you have or a spiritual walk, I'm not knocking none of that. Because listen, I bet you they don't have the heartache and hurt that people that are doing those type of things go through. But I really believe that a lot of times it's like it's a fear we have. We
Mhm.
really don't want to put ourselves out there to experience anything in relationships. We've been hurt, or you've been hurt so much in a relationship, you just don't want to deal with it. And I think a lot of times you miss out when you just don't want to deal with it. And we all do that. We all kind of we put things to the side. We say, "Oh, we'll deal with that later," or "I don't even want to, go through because I know it's going to be a journey. I know it's going to be something I have to put time and energy in." And I feel like we get complacent. I know they're talking about the definitions of hope and hopelessness, but I do want to definitely make it clear that these emotions that you're experiencing, they're definitely real and valid. So I don't want you to be kind of pushing it under the rug, or putting it under, like just kind of unpacking it and then packing it back like it's not
Correct.
valid that you feel what you feel. I know, as far as when you're feeling hopeless, that's just natural. As human beings, we're going to feel that, and it's a response that everybody can connect to. Everybody's felt that once in their life, like that hopelessness. Some of you feeling it conditionally, like you're feeling it a lot. But I know, as far as like the personal and events that are going on in the world, you also have to be careful with how deep that hopelessness gets, because it can lead to depression, like we said. It can lead to different disorders, and it can lead to different conditions, and it can lead to you holding yourself back in life. I know, as far as that hopelessness, just be cognizant of when you're feeling it, like what is making me feel this, or is it people around me that's making me feel this? Okay, now if it's a person directly, look who's directly in, your inner group, and then branch out. Are these coworkers, are these people you associate with? Why are you feeling this hopelessness, and who is it connected to? And then you make shifts from there. But I know a lot of times, like I said, as far as hopelessness, it's a natural thing that humans feel, but it is something that you can overcome, and it shouldn't be a challenge that you face. That doesn't give you a seen outcome, which means you can come out of it. It's really kind of a choice. I really like what Dr. P said as far as when she was talking about the suitcases, and how you carry in it. Another thing that's imperative, guys, is that, kind of like Pure Prani was saying, I'm hoping I'm inferring what you were saying. But literally, when you get something accomplished and you got that done, and you just like, finally, I went through all this and now I can sit in some peace, something else is going to come. Be cognizant of that. Be
Yeah.
cognizant that when it comes, it's okay. Like, you are equipped to deal with it. And if you feel like you're not equipped, you need to find somebody, iron sharpens iron, that has been through it, and talk to them, get therapy if it's something that you feel like you need on that level, and or figure out how to shift out of it. Because a lot of times some things are things you can do yourself, and some things you're going to need a higher level of help, or you're going to need somebody
Right.
that has been through it. So you have to realize when to do that shift. When do I need to talk to another person, and when is it something where I need to take it to a next level and get somebody that's maybe licensed and certified. I know another thing that's important also too is step out of your comfort zone and check on others. I think a lot of times, even if you're in the aspect of hopelessness, the more you put into other people, the more you check on others, the more you put your time into another person and their feelings and what they're going through. A lot of times that'll change your whole dynamic on how you need to move forward. Call somebody that you haven't talked to in a long time. Check on them. You don't know what people are going through, guys. A lot of times people are going through a lot of things. And sometimes just to hear that you cared, or you said hello, or ask about them, how you doing, how's your family doing. Don't be so stuck on you being the center of attention. Don't be so stuck on they need to ask me how I feel. No, ask people how they feel. Check on them every once in a while, guys. It's not the person that it's not the person that has something against you because they're not talking to you. It's not the person that doesn't like you or something. They could be going through something. They could be busy with their family or something. They could be I don't know, have a new job. They can have a new endeavor or profession that they're doing in the background. So sometimes we think these thoughts in our mind, and we create this whole thing that's not even truth. Let's see. Pure Pondering says, if you go through something traumatic with someone, it could be hard to be there for each other. That's true. And I
Yeah.
know that happens a lot of times with people that lose babies. We're gonna do another video on that because I'm definitely the guests actually want it. I'm gonna bring them back for that topic, but we're gonna talk about that, coping with loss, especially parents again. It can be hard to be there for each other as you each deal with the fallout. But for the relationship to survive, you have to find a way. And yes, Vaughn, we're on the road to 1,000 subs. Let's hit that bullseye on the way in, guys, and share. Thank you for those that have bigger channels that are sharing, putting it on your community tab, talking directly to people. I appreciate that, and we are going and growing and glowing through here. Dr. P, as far as that traumaticness, this is kind of what I was talking about earlier when I was kind of giving my explanation of the two halves together, and when it's something so super traumatic and they don't have what they need, put it that way. I'm not gonna say can't. They don't have what they need to deal with it. At what point can they recognize like it they don't have it? If I'm a regular lay person, put it that way, Dr. P, and I have an answer to this, but I want to hear what you have to say. How can we recognize these things, Dr. P? How can we recognize that we don't have what we need, and we need to go to the next level instead of saying, "Oh, it's okay. That's just something I'm going through today. I can deal with it." What are some signs? I want you to start, and I'm going to give some
Well,
things too.
first of all, the traumatic incident alone is a sign. I tell people whenever, and of course, we know, like if they lose a child or something like that, they're together. That right there alone should be a sign. Also, if someone is working a little bit more, staying away from the significant other, if they don't want to call each other, or they're always snappy with each other, those are going to be your tell all signs, and you can see it because they might work all day and they might be snappy, like, what you calling me for? And it's out of their norm. They're going to quickly come out of their norm because they're trying to deal with it. Another thing is, especially if it is a child or something, their interaction with other children is going to change. The way they talk to people with kids are going to change. They're not going to want to go in crowds because every time they go in crowds, they see these parents with kids, and it's going to start to weigh heavy on them. So in the beginning, if something traumatic happens, I would say seek seek help, and my first thing would be to seek it individually, that way each one of them are getting out what they need, what they feel, and what they think, and then have the person come and they do it at together, and it'll help them work through some things, but never together in the beginning though, because um it tends to cause, because that person's going to say, well, I didn't know you was thinking. Well, of course you didn't know what I was thinking about or how I felt about it. And it could be some thoughts of, if he or she hadn't have been where they needed to be, this wouldn't have happened, or
Mm-hmm.
vice versa. So that's absolutely correct. But those tell signs: staying away from home, you know, not being around, not wanting to be around kids, just, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So those are going to be your thing. Peer pondering said people don't understand how you can't be around children for a long time. I had to leave the stores every time I saw a little blind. Of course, it's hard, and people are not going to understand
Mm-hmm.
how you feel about that, because remember, their life is continuing, and yours
That's
is
true.
at a halt. We're not going to say complete halt, but it's at a halt. And
Mm-hmm.
they don't understand. Most people don't understand when another person loses something. So, and our expectation is not that they explain, but just give me grace and mercy to
Grace.
understand I can't be around children,
Mm-hmm.
and then at least you was able to go around children. I
Right.
know some people who completely don't go around children, didn't
Right.
babysit children. It could have been their uncles, and it could have been their own children. They locked themselves in the room
Right.
and
Right.
stayed away from their other children, because deep down inside they are carrying that guilt,
Mm-hmm.
and so they lock themselves away from their own children.
Mm-hmm.
Husband didn't know, but if she starts to do those things, those are the telltale signs, and they need help, more help than you can give them, but y'all both need help. um,
That's true.
if
And I
y'all want
think,
your relationship to survive, you both will need help.
I mean, because that's such a deep one, and only parents, people that have lost kids, and parents that have been through that, can really kind of reflect on that to actually, help somebody that has dealt with a loss, because it's such a deep feeling, and it also too depends, Dr. P, the connection. A lot of times people can lose a family member, like a mother or father, and
Uh-huh.
not care because of that relationship they had with them. And even the connection, it can be transparently different with the child because of, the connection, and or if you even got to meet the child, see the child. There's so many levels to how people deal with it, and you should just respect how
Right.
they relate, but yet and so you never want to be so consumed with any type of hopelessness or grief to where your life is stagnated, because then at that point you are not progressing, and then your life it doesn't have the meaning that it needs to. We got Aisha in the building. She says, good afternoon, Mrs B Finesse in chat. Hey Aisha, hopefully the twins are doing well. We have Juanita, Joanna, I'm sorry. Words are spells, watch your words. We have Jackie. She's saying hello, everyone. And Pure Pondering says that's one of the reasons I no longer teach. Like I said, I know, guys. Even with me teaching, I think that was about 4 years ago. I had one of my students that had passed away, and it was super, super. It's just different when you're dealing with that, especially in the school setting, especially when they're a student that a lot of people know, and things happen. And I really truly believe, Dr. P, everybody kind of, excuse me, they grieve in their own ways. I
Mm-hmm.
think they should be allowed to grieve and have the hopelessness. But at what point do you think it comes to a head? Because I know, as far as a loss, you never really ever get over it. You cope, but you don't get over it.
Mm-hmm.
What do you tell the young adults as far as when it's time to shift and move forward? And then I'll speak on that.
Oh, when you can no longer do it anymore. You're right. Everybody does grieve in their own way. So it's going to be up to them when they can no longer function anymore.
Mm.
Um, Clearly, I had a person, give you an example of her. She lost her child, her mother, and then her father, um, all within months' time, and the father of her children, all in months' time.
Wow.
And so she's just getting hit one lick after another, you know? And she came to the conclusion that she was sitting so much in it, and now it was one of the twins because she had twins. The
Okay.
twin can be sitting here crying, and
Oh
she was not
wow.
paying attention.
Wow.
And so she was watching TV and something clicked, and she said she heard the baby, but before she didn't hear the baby. And she said that was happening for months because she was in such disbelief that all this was happening.
Right. Right.
um and so it kind of trickles down. So whenever you no longer, and sometimes we miss it, so it takes somebody else to come in and see it, because sometimes we might think it's good, but it's hard. Our body has to tell us that we can no longer move on, or we're going to think it's okay. We're going to think that the way I'm moving around is okay. And get this, when we're not listening to anybody because you're not feeling what I'm feeling. So do I say that somebody needs to tell? Yeah, but it has to be somebody they trust and kind. Are they going to do what you say do? Probably not, but you still got to be there for them. And so again, I'm there. I call her all the time. Where you at? Oh, I'm in, because now she started going back to work. I'm at work,
Right.
maybe at the babysitter, but she's a little bit, but somebody had to start, and she started it on her own. I hadn't talked to her in 3 months, and she picked up the phone and called me and wanted to start back, all because she knew I was ready, available. So again, it has to be them that says, I am tired of feeling like this. People looking on the outside don't really know what's going on the inside. So what you gonna tell her, she's not gonna hear it because you don't know what she really feels.
That's true.
So it has to be that person. And she has to be sick and tired, or she has to be scared. And her thing was, how long had I been sitting in front of this TV and my child been crying? And I had not been attending to her. So that's her thing all the time. Every time we talk, I feel I was in it too long. I feel like she's my only source for moving on. But what happens when she starts ignoring those cries again? What does she do? The good thing about it is she'll never, what she don't know is that she'll never avoid those cries again. Because she knows about them now. So she never sit in front of that TV in a daze again. Like she's a zombie.
I think that's imperative too, because I think a lot of times when you're so caught up in something and you're so kind of in a zone with something, it becomes your truth. And I think, just like you said, we have to pay attention to our coping mechanisms, because some of them are okay as far as they're not detrimental, but some of them can be super detrimental, especially to our health. So as far as, you're not getting up, you're not moving, though, to me those are key things that you have to pay attention to, that are kind of like triggers into you progressing forward. When it comes to, bodily, or let's say you completely stop paying your bills, or things that are necessary truths that you need to do and you're not doing, those should be super triggers if you're feeling that, as far as your hopelessness. If you don't want to get up days, okay, we can do one day, even two, but there needs to be some type of limit to it. And the thing that I understand with people is that maybe you and me, Dr. P, will be different. I can probably do a day and I'm good and I can bounce. You might need 3. So it's like you have to figure out what that person's, that limitation is, to know when to step into push. Because I think a lot of times too, we might step into push and that person doesn't need a push. It's more so, I want you to be done and healed. And I did a show on that, probably a month or two ago, when I talked about giving advice, Dr. P. And I went over a study from one of the journals in psychology, when they talked about the advice and giving advice and the psychological effect that advice is. It's not really you wanting to help a person per se, especially if you don't have an understanding or backing in giving people counseling, teaching, coaching, all those different things. You're just arbitrarily talking because you feel like what you need to be said needs to be heard. A lot of times we project, Dr. P, and I know you know this, but I'm explaining it again for the listeners. A lot of times you're projecting your ideals and your truths and what you want on other people. It's not really advice to help them. It's kind of what your mindset is of the situation and how you see it through your eyes. Do you find that common with people?
I do find that common, and I try to tell, and this is imperative because everybody, you don't want to go jumping in giving advice, even though a
Mm-hmm.
situation looks different. I tell family
Right.
members the same thing. Like, don't even give advice. Just say, hey, if you need to talk, I'm here. She's probably gonna turn around and start talking and just talking. And the biggest thing is silence. Just I understand. And not even I understand, just I hear you. And you
Mm-hmm.
have the right to feel that way
Mm-hmm.
because you don't understand.
You sure don't.
And you need not to be given advice, regardless if you know how to give advice. Don't give it. She don't want advice. She just wants somebody to
See,
listen. And that's
that's the
what
key
everybody
thing.
that's hopeless, that feels the hopelessness. Matter of fact, Priya pondering, I don't know how she does it either, because I'm just there to listen to her because she still lives in the same house
Mm.
where the baby died, and so I don't know how she do it either. But when she ready to tell me how she do it, I'm gonna be a listening ear. But yeah, because people don't understand.
I think the key thing too, and this is what I talked about in that video, and I know I certain topics of Dr. P, I have to rehash them and redo them because it takes some people, it takes them a couple times before they get it. And you said the key thing that I said in the video from the journal Psychology, it talked about you don't need to offer or give anything unless, especially when you're talking one-on-one with a person, unless they specifically ask. So just like you said, even more far gone in, is just you sitting and listening. You're not even really saying anything. And then if they ask, what is your opinion or what do you think, that's when you can jump in and say. But for the most part, a lot of times, Dr. P, people really don't want your opinion. They just want to either for you to listen or they want to vent. And a lot of times people know the answer, Dr. P. I find this listening to people talk to me all the time. Teaching, coaching with them, consulting, you already know the answer. You just want to hear like kind of yourself like get it all out and talk it all out, or you just want to be heard. And I find many of us do know what we need to do, but a lot of times we want to project in that, like if I'm talking to you, Dr. P, I'm really kind of telling you what I want to tell you because I want you to agree with me. Now when you start telling me that I'm wrong or I shouldn't do it, I didn't even really want to tell you what I had to say.
That's so
But
funny.
I'm just saying it because I want you to agree. Do you
That's so
experience
funny.
that?
Somebody did that to me last night and kept me on the phone for 2 hours doing
Oh
the
my
same thing.
goodness.
And I told her I just can't. But you're absolutely right. And so that's why, even if they ask a question of me, um, I ask them. I don't answer the question because they already know. I say, what do you feel that should happen? Do you feel that should happen? And it puts it back on them because the thing
Yes.
about it is that you probably already know what you need to do. I
Yeah.
don't need to tell you what to do.
Right.
I'm
Right.
here to help you sort the things out in your head. And so me listening, me figuring it out, because you're right, I only know what you tell me. And so answering
That's
that
true.
question is going to be on what you told me. And you might not have given me all the information. And so
That's true.
again, how effective does it make me? It doesn't make me effective at all. Because of the simple fact that I'm about to give you an answer on some partial information that you gave to me.
That's a good
And
point.
guess what? It's not due because she's just giving it. It's due because it's in her head somewhere, but she can't put it together because she's in this depression, this hopelessness, this sadness, wherever she wants to be, and she just doesn't know how to bring it out. And
That's
so
true.
again, putting it back on her allows her to go back in her head and kind of see where it is and then bring it out. And then once she's brought her idea out, I'd be like, okay, so what are the steps that you're gonna take to get that? Because I mean, I want to know what she got going on in her head. So
Right.
technically, I'm not here to give my opinion because my advice would be my opinion in some as what I'm here to do is help pull some stuff out so that we can work on it according to what you want to work on. And
Yes.
so most people don't understand how important that is, especially when someone is feeling hopelessness, you know? Because one, they got to go figure out why they started to feel hopelessness. If it wasn't a traumatic event
Right.
or it wasn't something, you know how long it takes people to figure out what's making them hopeless?
Yeah, or that you're even hopeless
Or that you're
because
even
you're
hopeless. So many people
you're a
live hopeless
functioning
now.
hopeless person. Yeah, you
Right. You know how
function
many
and you
people?
conform, so you don't
Right.
even know that you're walking in that. And then when people tell you, get mad.
That's
No,
right.
this
That's
this
right.
is me. This works good. This is how I am, and it's just like no, you are limiting yourself. I really like what you said when you were talking about that aspect of listening and hearing. I know as far as, being in education all these years, you're in education too. We are taught to facilitate. And the facilitate does not mean I sit up here, even when I do my channel and even when I, deal one on one with the finesse fam and people that, talk to me and ask me questions, any of that, mentorship, all that type of stuff. I'm more so do more listening, Dr. P, than talking, because I find a lot of times people will say exactly what they need and they know exactly what they need. It's just more so a matter of you seeing it, which means you're talking so much that you talk yourself into saying what it is you need, and or facilitating, which means, if I can give an example of that so you guys understand what I mean when I say facilitate. When I'm teaching in the classroom, I don't sit there and tell my students, I don't go through, tell them the question, give them the answer, go through, say copy all the notes that I'm talking. No. What I'm doing is I pose a problem, which is really critical thinking, and we suffer from that as a society and nation so bad. But I pose a problem, and I might show one time how to do that problem, another form of it, and then at that point I let them mess up, get it wrong until they actually do it right. And that's really facilitating, because the way you learn is not me as a teacher telling you what to do. That's not facilitating. That's just me telling you what to do. Facilitating is more so I show you how to do it, and I'm there to guide you. So as you are going off, veering off, if you're messing up too much, I'm there for you to question or to kind of guide you back, but I'm not doing it. And I believe that's really imperative when we're dealing with people, when we're talking to, because a lot of times, I think for the most part, Dr. P, and you can tell me if you agree or disagree with this. I think a lot of times people, when they get to a good mental state or a healthy one, they can get themselves back where they need to be. I just think a lot of times you just need somebody there. It's like a psychosis that we feel like we need another person, but really it's in us kind of what we need to do and not do. What's your perspective on that? Hey, Matt
Absolutely,
Riggs.
you're absolutely right, and that's that mindset again. It's all about how you see your mindset. So, definitely. Now, the part about being able to bring ourselves back, yeah. But when we're having a mental breakdown, we don't see all that because we see all the stress that's going on
True.
inside. So that's what that other person is comes out and does for you. But other than that, truly and all, it is us bringing ourselves back out of it. Um, because what we don't want to do is give advice or give something to someone that is an opinion to you, and that's how you did it, and then that person goes tries the same thing and gets a different outcome. Do you know how much you just hurt that person and put them back in that hopelessness state? So
Good
that's
point.
so that's why you're absolutely imperative that it must be them to bring themselves out, and everybody wants a great mental state. And then once you get there, that's how we cope. That's your
That's true.
coping skill. You're going
That's
to
true.
continue to use that coping skill. But how do you gain that coping skill? Because your coping skill is totally different from mine. And so I can tell you all the tools in the world. But what I'm not going to do is pick the tool that you use.
Exactly. And that's what a facilitator
So
does. A
that's
facilitator, we put it
that's
on the
right.
table
So
for you and you figure out what works for
that's
you.
right. So again, I'm giving you some factual stuff and some stuff. But the other thing about it is that I'm not going to pick it for you. I'll show you how to use it. Again, factual stuff. But I'm not going to pick it for you. I'll tell you how to use each one of them, but it's going to be
Of
for you to
course.
see which one is for you. You
Right.
know.
Let's chop this one up, Dr. P. Okay. So pure pondering says don't have your breakdown around your parents and siblings. They expect you to be who you were before. And you know what? As far as that pure pondering, it's kind of tough. Like, cause when you have a breakdown, I don't think many people can control or do they even know that they're about to have a breakdown sometimes. So it's kind of tough. But yet and still, this is, I believe, why you have to walk in your truths, because, and you do, as far as I think, when we talk about protecting yourself and or making sure that you guard your heart in another sense, yeah, you might have to be careful who you tell things to. Like, if you know you've told somebody something and the next minute they're going out talking about it, and or they went behind your back talking to somebody else about it, and you continue to tell them more things, then that's a conversation you need to have with yourself. But what do you have to say about this statement, Dr. P?
I actually read it in another type of way.
Okay, how'd you read it?
See, sometimes we don't know we're gonna have that breakdown because sometimes we go in there okay, but then they start to talk and say things, and all of a
Mm.
sudden you can't stop it. And
Yeah,
so,
you
with
can't
that being
control it.
said, you are absolutely right. That is something you have to say. Oh, I better breathe, or I better exit this room, or I've had way too much of that conversation right now.
He
Okay,
said, breathe or
because
exit this room.
baby, what's about to happen? Honey, get my jacket. We about to go. Baby just got here. We need to leave.
Yeah,
Because the
sometimes you
thing
gotta
about it
go.
is how I'm about to, because see, some people break down with anger and snapback.
That's
And
true.
they don't
And
understand
some people are
why
quiet
you
breakdown.
getting offensive, why you getting offensive to them. And so
Mm-hmm.
you're right. They want you to be the person that you was before, but they forgot you didn't went through something. And
That's true.
so talking, why are you still do why? Hold up. I didn't come here for that. I just came here for some a pecan pie or a peach
Pecan.
cobbler. That's all I come here for. I ain't come here to hear that.
So let's take it there though, because first we kind of started with, relationships and, dealing with the hopelessness and dating. We kind of talked about hopelessness in relationships, when we're talking about men and women,
And
as
I'm
far as
hopeless.
relationships. Now let's kind of go into that hopelessness in the relationships when we're talking about family, siblings,
Oh,
parents, because that's a whole deeper level. And I think that is something that a lot of people experience on a deeper level. And basically pure pondering basically brought that up as far as touching base on that as a subscriber. So I think we should go into that, how we deal with that when we're dealing with family members. And those are the ones, it's honestly the people that are closest to you that can hurt you the most. So when we're dealing with family members and that aspect of when I'm around them, they know things that trigger me. A lot of times, you have to be cognizant. Like I say this all the time, guys, guard your heart. You have to be cognizant of what you're telling your family members. You have to be cognizant of environments that you bring them around, especially when you can tell because of the past ways they've treated you, how they handle I guess you could say your heart, your feelings, your emotions. And a lot of times it is totally okay to love from a distance, guys. A lot of you feel so committed to people and situations and bad vibes that you feel like you have to keep coming up and showing up and being there, when your peace is the only thing that really matters in life, because you can make everybody else peaceful, please everybody, and you are torn on the inside. Like you have nothing about you works right because you're so focused on other people. But when you get yourself right as far as peace, and peace is not I'm happy all the time, kiki laughing, and I'm smiling all the time. Peace is more so I'm gonna choose my arguments. I'm gonna choose the battles that I jump into. I'm gonna choose the how I receive if somebody doesn't congratulate me, if somebody doesn't call me back, if somebody doesn't give me really reciprocal of what I gave them. That's peace right there, because it's a mindset of I will choose my battles, but I will not let these actions do a counter reaction on how I feel and my emotions. But I do think the peace is the most important thing, and I feel like a lot of people have these family issues that are just so extreme. And a lot of times, if you take yourself out of the environment of your family, you see how happier you are. So sometimes you have to really kind of um, pick and choose that. You know, if your family members are not giving you peace and they're, always kind of picking at you or never, talking about the good that you can bring, then, you might need to separate from that. What do you say? Well, let me read what she says first, Dr. P, and I'm going to have you expound on that. Yep, today's topic is, are people hopeless in relationships? Thank you for that, Vom. Make sure you guys share and subscribe and support. Pure Pondering says, one of my sisters, when I said someone needed to be watching the little one, said nothing's going to happen to them. This was 2 years after the accident that took place with my older daughter. Pure Pondering says, Mrs B Finesse, I totally agree. The sister I mentioned said something about moving to my place. Oh no, never, not. Yeah, I mean, you gotta keep your peace. And I think a lot of us, for suffice of relationships, and family members and friendships, we lose ourselves in our peace, and it just messes up everything we're trying to do, and then our family. So we have to be careful with what's taking our peace. Well, Dr. P, what do you have to agree or disagree with that?
Well, I agree. We do have to maintain our peace, and again, that's those. I always say we have expectations of our family members that they should understand what we're going through and stuff like that. Well, they don't if it ain't happened to them. And so it makes it harder because they are the family.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
even if it's you have a family, of course, that particular situation with losing somebody, but then we have to look at these families that are toxic to each other.
Mm.
Regardless what people like to say, family is family and it's hard. Sometimes
Of course.
we like to cut them off, but we also have to know their expectations. We already know who they are. Stop denying where
Mm.
they are. They
Mm.
sit at level one, then going into the situation is at level one. You can need a backup plan for that. You already know what they're gonna tell you because they've been telling it and they've been saying it all your life.
Mm.
You've been hearing it all the time. So you make your backup plans for that. If you feel that you can't handle it that day, don't go. And like you said, I let go. Yeah, push back from them. I love you from a distance. But it also has to be you to say, how am I going to handle this situation? Because one, she is my mom, and I know the other people are going to be there. Or, they did invite me over, but I know my mom's mouth. And it's sometimes I can't take it, you know, what she got to say. Because truly in our families don't know. They might appear to say we know how they push our buttons and stuff like that, but in reality, if we ain't sitting and had a conversation about it, they don't know. That's why they keep repeating the same thing over and over. I used to tell my mom, when you call and hang up the phone after 15 minutes, that bothers me.
Mm.
And she was like, well, I was like, but you talk to everybody else for 30 minutes. You don't have enough time to talk to me for 30 minutes. You're talking to other people. Well, no, I'm okay. I want you to forgive me because sometimes you got to forgive them. I want you to forgive me for having this expectation of you because you are who you're supposed to be to me. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
okay with that
Mm-hmm.
because I know that I'm her daughter. So therefore, she might feel like she knows I love her. But the people that she's reaching out to a little bit more might need a little bit more from her because she knows the person that she raised. You get what I'm saying?
Mm.
So
No, yeah.
sometimes, so
Yeah.
sometimes family doesn't know and they keep doing it because we allow them to keep doing it, and then we're upset when they do it because we have this expectation that they should know something when in reality, again, that's where the expectation comes. How do I know how you're feeling if we're not talking about it? How do I know that I'm pushing your buttons if you're not talking? Now if you just walk out the house, I'm probably in the house saying, well, why he left? Why he left? And somebody
Mm-hmm.
else could say, well, because of your mouth. And then it'd be like, well, what I say. And then it becomes a heated argument between them because guess what? The person who actually got offended or who actually didn't say it was the mouth. So guess what? They're
Right.
gonna come back next week and mom gonna do the same thing. Why? Because somebody else told mom that. She still doesn't understand why. So
Mm-hmm.
toxic relationships with family members,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and it draws you because this is what you start. A lot of times people think that, oh my God, they're not going to change. That's a
Mm-hmm.
hopelessness story. Like you have no
Right.
hope that this person is going to ever change. They're going to continue to do the same old thing. So guess what? Every time you walk in a situation, you're hopeless because you already have no hope for the situation. So it continues to eat and eat and eat at you in that situation until you have to leave it. And sometimes the easiest way to cure that is maybe to sit and say, do you really understand why I leave? And if they say no, that's your time to explain everything. Because if you want someone to change, or if you want to feel some hope where you feel hopelessness, then you have to give them, no matter what it looks like, the opportunity to change. Because if not, that's why we stay in a hopeless relationship, because
Right.
we've already came to the conclusion that that person will not change. It will be what it be. But what if that person does try to take advantage and try to change, but they can't change something they don't know? So again, you have to be aware of yourself, and you have to be aware of if you're in the hopelessness. And it's easy. If you walk in a room and you say, oh, they're gonna never change, you're in a hopeless state with them, with the people. It's not gonna never change. I walk into my job every day, it ain't gonna never change. But you have to be able to come out of it. And that's the most common hopelessness right there, is the job. Thinking about C19, every day goes by. See, Lord, C19, it ain't gonna never get better. We ain't gonna get back to life. You're hopeless in that situation. So yeah, it's gonna
Mindset.
increase. And so
Yeah.
you have to be.
I
You
think
you
I
have to be.
definitely want to recap what you said. You said a lot just earlier, and I think it's so imperative how when we're dealing with family members and just anybody, Dr. P, and I mentioned this a lot on this live stream podcast, that we are so we're creatures of habit, but we're so gung ho that somebody knows how we feel. But when you ask the person, did you tell them? No, I haven't told them. Or have you, like you just said, when you're having, with family members or people in relationships, have you told them how you felt? No, I haven't. So then why do you assume that they understand what's going on with you when you haven't told them? I'm one that's clear. I love, like I said, what TDJ said. He says, I have the gift of goodbye. I have no problem with that, as far as like, if I feel like I've tried to talk to you, I feel like I've, extended my olive branch and you don't want to accept it or whatever, or even I can see you from a distance. I don't have to say anything. I'm quite cognizant of, okay, I see how they're moving. I'm going to keep my space. I don't got to be rude to you, mean to you, call you out your name, sabotage you, none of that. Like, I'm quite cognizant of, aware of it, because I don't like elephants in the room. I'm just gonna ask you straight up. I'm gonna be tactful though. I'm gonna ask, is there an issue? Or like, if I see, like, there's two people that I'm super close to and I see that there's an issue, I'm gonna kind of see if I can kind of mediate or moderate to get it right. And if it can't be, I wash my hands of it. I'm not one more so that likes to create confusion, create arguments and messiness. But yet and still, I'm one to know that, like, once you see somebody, like, if they show you who they truly are, or you've opened up to them, you've asked them, and you said, like, how are you, or you've told them how you felt, and then they keep doing it, and then I believe it falls back on you, because at that point you've got understanding. But you can't always assume people know. This is why you need to ask. And then when you ask, be tactful. Like Dr. P was saying, somebody says something to you, you can't be spazzing off at them at the mouth, and then you wonder why they came back at you with an attitude, or cussing you out, or telling you off, calling you out your name, and you wonder, well, why they do that? It was the way you approached them. It was the way you even asked the question. And, even the rapport. I think a lot of times, Dr. P, we don't realize how important rapport is. I know I can reflect on that in my relationships with just dealing with my students, dealing with anybody that I've worked with or consulted with, or had any one-on-one time with. Rapport is important. And rapport is basically that aspect of, instead of me trying to tell you something, me forming a relationship first. And now that I have this relationship, at this point, your guard is a little bit down to want to receive if there's something that needs to come to you. How important do you think rapport is, Dr. P?
Rapport is very well. I said, oh, you know what? I could reflect back on that too. Because, and look, pure pondering, you're right. You have to set some boundaries. I can tell you one thing about rapport. I have a rapport with my mom, but I'm kind of like that baby with my aunties in them because it's just that right there. And I
Yeah, I
tell
know.
my mom all the time, that's your family, not really my family. Because if anything happened to you, I don't know if they're gonna call me or not. So I tell her that because for the longest, going into their toxic family thing was not for me. Um,
Mm.
and I had to hear that. So pondering, you just know, we've all went through it. And so I set my boundaries and I tell them, you
Mm-hmm.
invite me to stuff, it got to be 2, 3 weeks ahead of time. Don't call me tomorrow and tell me about it for the weekend
Right.
and expect me to be there. But
Right.
then
Right.
don't go behind my back and say, oh, she not here. Tell why I'm not there. And so you're right. You have to set your. Sometimes I have my family walking on eggshells, y'all, because they
Yeah,
know
you're
who
a
I
mess.
am and and guess what? I have no expectations for them at all. But they don't
Mm-hmm.
know I don't have no expectations. They just know that Dr. P is coming through the house and she's coming, and y'all make sure this is done, this is done. Don't be yelling in the house and stuff like that because my ears, I can't take yelling in the house at each other. So if you
Mm-hmm.
and your thing gonna fight, or y'all go outside and fight.
Wait a
In
minute.
my uncle's house.
When did you stop taking yelling? Your family always talks loud.
Correct. Gotcha. So one day we were sitting up in there and I was like, it was 12 midnight one night and some
Uh
yelling
huh.
started going across the room.
Uh
And
huh.
I said, hold up. And I said, well, I gotta go. So my uncle said,
How
well,
you
why you
gonna
gotta
leave?
go? I said, well, uncle, look at that yelling across the room at me. I said, they're yelling and my ears are hurting. My uncle snapped it up. Y'all get out of here. She doesn't like yelling, so now it's no yelling in the house.
You're a mess.
And he was like, go back to bed. And I was like, yes, plus number two. And so sometimes you just gotta give them what you need. You gotta talk to them and let them
That's
know. Because
true.
let me tell
That's
you
true.
something, if they truly want you there, no matter what happens in their household when you're not there, or they're gonna try at least to work with you, but they
That's
have to
true.
know. Just
That's
like
true.
my uncle and them didn't know that my ears were getting thing, and I just didn't like the yelling because that's adults. And this is not
Mm-hmm.
even their house. If
Mm-hmm.
you and my auntie ain't yelling, then nobody else yelling in here. And I
Mm-hmm.
felt disrespected because it was going on. And
Mm-hmm.
so after letting them know, then yeah, not nip that in the bud,
Mm-hmm.
but it takes some time. And I only learned that, I was learning functional family therapy. So I'm a family functional therapist too, y'all. Um, so I do my own therapy on my family.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when I became a social worker and I started practicing these different therapies, I started performing them on my family. So even to this day, they don't know that they went through family
Willingly
functional
or
therapy.
unwillingly? Oh, you might want to keep that to
Unwillingly to this
yourself.
day, they don't
Oh,
know that
okay.
they went through family functional therapy, but it
Okay.
works.
Uh
Yeah,
huh.
you know what I'm saying? It works because
Mm-hmm.
we're calm, we get along now,
Mm-hmm.
we laugh, we talk, and it's not a lot of noise.
Right.
And then we're talking to each other. And so that's another thing. Like Miss B Finesse said, my family never talked. They screamed. Well,
Yeah.
now they're talking to each other.
Okay, that's good.
So, you have to in some you have to teach them. They didn't
That's
know
true.
that you have to teach them. And like I
That's
said, if they
true.
truly want you to be there and they truly, truly with all their heart didn't really know how they were affecting you with the different things that they were doing and they were saying,
Mm-hmm.
then they're gonna make that change. Again, I have another situation for you. Here you go, pondering. My dad has a daughter that's older than me, and every time I would call, she would talk about this old relationship that I would have, and that was her favorite person. Miss B Finesse, you might have heard it, because it was
Mm,
that
yeah.
time. But that favorite person. But in this time, I have a husband and I'm married, so I don't think he should have to hear that, regardless if we're on the phone. My volume loud because I just told you about my ears.
Mm-hmm.
So he's hearing all of this, and I shouldn't have to filter my conversation to have it with
Right.
you.
Not with my
So one
husband.
day
Right.
I told her, I say, look, this has been 20 something years and I am
Mm-hmm.
tired of it. I put up with it for way too long. You
Mm-hmm.
want me to call you or you want me to have conversation with you, then you're going to have to stop it. She called me in December, didn't say nothing about it. And that's when I knew that she's making that change. And guess what? Now I'm going to call her because I feel she's trying to make a change. But before, I could go months without talking to her.
And I think
Because
I think
again,
it's
I
it's
set that
important.
boundary.
You have
Hmm.
to let people know. You have to, and I think it's more so a thing about tactful and rapport, because there's a certain way I can talk to Dr. P, that if somebody's like my associate, because she's actually my friend, one of my best friends, but talking to another associate, if I don't have that rapport with them and they don't understand, then it's a certain way that I would deal with them. But when you
Hmm.
have a rapport experience with somebody and you've been through things with that person, Dr. P could take a little bit more of me saying something to her than somebody else.
Correct.
As I the same with her, if she's talking to me about a situation. So I think a lot of times it is kind of like a dance. It is a like I say, a lot of times riding on a motorcycle with people, you have to be cognizant of who the person is, how to talk to them. I definitely think boundaries are a necessity. A
Definitely.
lot of times we just have endless boundaries with people, and then that could get you hurt, because a lot of times people don't understand your level of love, your level of respect, your level
Correct.
of giving, and you can't assume they do just because you give this type of way. And a lot of times, if you let it be known or you keep showing that love and then you don't get it reciprocated back, that's your choice at that point. Do I want to keep going forward? Do I want to still, be involved with this person? Do I still want to receive from this person? And, or, this is pulling too much. I'm giving too much. I need to step back. I need to love from a distance. I think a lot of
Mm.
times it's okay. And I think it's imperative when you do that, let people know. Don't just step back from somebody and then just don't tell them. And then you wonder why they shouldn't go do this, but they will. They'll probably go back and try to tell somebody something about you. Girl, da 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 said this, and don't you shouldn't be their friend because they do this, and all that other messiness stuff. Oh, that's a whole nother conversation
Yeah.
about messiness. But it's just like, no, just be honest with people and let
Hmm.
them know. And that fares you well. And if they don't agree with what you said, it is what it is. They might not, but it's okay.
Yeah, and like I said, rapport is really good. Don't go tell your supervisor or your coworkers in that particular way. You know what I'm saying? Like I might do it because I'm Dr. P. So I'm gonna tell you like I tell it to I'm gonna tell them like, hey, this woman is crowding my day. Can you call her on the phone and tell her I'm not going to the? I got you. I'm gonna call her because again, me and his rapport is that I don't trust him, and he
Right, right.
asked me one day, do you trust me? No, I do not trust you. So do I get to tell my supervisor? Yeah, I probably do get to tell him and tell him how I want it because he trying to build the trust with me. See, when somebody trying to build trust with you, they try to get on your side. So you have to make sure that you have that rapport. But be honest, because that honesty and being authentic is going to take you a whole way. Be honest with your family, or whomever is making that. Be honest with your significant other, but the only way you can is to be honest with yourself when you're feeling those feelings. I'm starting to feel this type of way. Be honest. Why? Identify why. Identify when you start to feel hopelessness, because then it's going to help you out in the long run. So, and then make sure you have that, however you get ready to tell that person, make sure that rapport is there. And if not, use the other way you talk. Look, I don't know you that well, but this is what's going on because this is how I'm feeling. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's super important. Vine, type something in the chat. I think I accidentally clicked my finger and hit you. I didn't mean to hide you, Vaughn. So type something so I can make sure like you can still type in the chat, because I think I accidentally hit you. But let's see, let's see. Cars says sincerity works well for me. Yeah, I mean, you be your best authentic self when you're doing things, and I mean that's all you can be is yourself. A lot of times, I think a lot of times, Dr. P, it is really okay. Cool. Vaughn, I was trying to hide somebody else, and I seen you already did it, so I'm not gonna worry about even messing with the chat because you got it under control. I hid you on accident, Vaughn. I think I did. It said I hid you, but I unhid you. But I think it's imperative to Dr. P, that as far as when we're talking about like the hopelessness and relationships, that we have something kind of to run with, or to kind of gauge from. Hey Lashes, hope you and the baby are doing well. Nice seeing you here. I think I spoke to everybody that popped into. Big Matt, fishing, outdoors with Big Matt. Hey Big Matt, glad you're here. Big Bad Bull says I'm back. Yeah, I think, and Matt Ricks, shout out to Matt Ricks. I think I got everybody. So as far as it says, hope is associated with the fulfillment of vital needs. I think it's important that we need to understand that we have to have the aspect of hope. Hope is super, super important. It's super, super important that we have hope, guys. I think we have to be cognizant of when we get things in our life to take away our hope, our wanting, our longing. I know there's some forms, it says, of hopelessness, and I definitely wanted to basically put this. Oh, thank you, Lashes. I'll probably hit you up later. She says, thanks, beautiful, love you here. Thank you, Lashes. Appreciate you. I definitely, Dr. P, wanted to touch base on this, and we both have that background, been to school, we're in education right now, so we definitely can speak on these topics fluidly, and I want to touch base on some different forms or types of hopelessness, so people can make that connection, Dr. P, because I think it's necessary. And anything that you've seen, in the field of education, or, dealing with people, I want you to throw into, because there's so many elements to it, Dr. P. There's so many little things we can look past, Dr. P, that can show that we're kind of in that hopelessness state, or starting it, Dr. P, that we can kind of, notice in ourselves or in other people, to kind of help get a kickback or get that person going on the right way, if we kind of see them headed that way. So it says hopelessness it feels different for everybody. Obviously, me and Dr. P have been discussing that throughout, this session and episode. It says there's 9 types of hopelessness that can be grouped into 3 categories. So I didn't even, as far as me, I know the main ones, but we're going to kind of break this down. So there's 9 types, all right? So hopelessness can be alienation, forsakenness, lack of inspiration. It can be doom, helplessness, and captivity. And the last grouping is powerlessness, oppression, and limitedness. All right. So alienation. I'm going to break them down, Dr. P, and you can add whatever you want to add before I go to the next one. But I definitely want to give the viewer, the rewatchers, different pinpoints, so they can tell kind of what this looks like, and they can see specifically what it is and how it enacts in your life. So alienation, it's attached to hopes, and it says this type of hopelessness comes from feeling others have forgotten about you or don't include you as a peer. You feel different in some way, and it says bonding with others is challenging because of these differences. Because you're feeling hopeless about bonding with others, you may persistently reject or avoid them. Is there anything you want to add to that alienation, Dr. P?
No, typically it happens, and that's when you're going to see somebody alienate themselves away from you, because they already feel alienated. So why go out and try to be a part of something that they already feel that they're not a part of? So that's where you're going to get them. Some telltale signs of that is they're going to start coming around you less. They're going to be like, oh, I'm okay at home. No, they're not okay at home. Right. But it's only because they feel that they're left out. So exactly. In order enough to not want to be feeling that, they think that being alone or alienating themselves from someone is going to help the problem, when in reality it just causes a bigger problem. So
they sink more into the abyss. Okay, the next one is forsakenness. So this is like attachment and survival hopes. So hopelessness in this case comes from feeling others have abandoned you when you needed them the most. And I think a lot of people deal with the forsakenness, the hopelessness from being forsaken. You may feel rejected or stigmatized as well. And this leads you to distrust others and their surroundings. And then the next one, I'm going to do them in groups of 2s, Dr. P. And then the next one is the lack of inspiration. And this is when you don't feel mentally stimulated to create. You may develop this type of hopelessness. You may feel blocked or unable to create, to be creative in some or all aspects of life. So forsakenness and lack of inspiration, Dr.
Yeah.
P.
So forsakenness is we typically find this when you feel your family's abandon you, and it's more of a family thing there. Not only that, typically our friends, but you have to have a stronger connection. But the feelings of abandonment sometimes comes from family, a spouse, or someone that's really really close to that person. They start to feel abandoned and forsaken, which means that either I'm going to get up and make a survive, and I'm going to do it all by myself. And I've come to the conclusion I'm going to do it by myself, because I'm not going to reach out to family and stuff. So you kind of typically see that the lack of inspiration, hopelessness, yeah, it blocks every part. It can block you wanting to have another job. It can block the part of you, say you're writing a book or something and your inspiration is gone. Or you want to finish school, and it's just gone. That inspiration that you feel for each aspect of your life is slipping away, surely by slowly, and so you don't have any inspiration to do anything. So definitely
Okay,
agree with
let's
that.
go to the next one. Once again, guys, if you're just coming in, make sure you hit that like button on the way in. Make sure you guys share this. This stream is going to be super imperative, guys, especially because everybody has dealt with this once, twice, and many times in this year, the past 2 years, or in their life. We're talking about hopelessness and how that connects and relates in relationships. And we're breaking down even more relationships, intimate relationships with family, and friends, children, all aspects of what that hopelessness looks like, and what it is, what it looks like, and how you can overcome it or work to come out of it. We're breaking down the different forms of what hopelessness looks like. Specifically, we just talked about alienation, which is a hopelessness that comes from feeling others have forgotten about you. Forsakenness, to me, forsakenness is deeper. It's a deeper level of alienation. It's a hopelessness that comes from feeling others have abandoned you. So just feeling like people forgot about you, I think it's surface level alienation. So you kind of just stay away. But forsakenness is deeper. It's when you feel abandoned. And a lot of times this is traumatic early on in life, especially if you didn't have a parent there, or somebody left you or sabotaged you, or did something early traumatic in your life. That forsakenness can stay heavy on people's hearts when they're growing up. We
Yeah,
also
you
talked
see
about,
that in a lot of foster care kids.
yes.
Also, it's a lot of your foster care kids are gonna feel forsaken.
Yes, yes. And then lack of inspiration is the one we just went over. And it's basically the mind stimulation. You just have no stimulation to be inspired, inspirational, or just to do. And I think that's one of the common hopelessnesses, because that lack of inspiration can kind of supersede everything in life. It can kind of grow like a snowball, and I think that one will lead to forms of depression also. We'll do powerlessness and oppression. So once again, powerlessness, as far as the aspect of hopelessness, is feeling you and your actions have no influence or impact on others, or the world may lead you to feel hopeless. You may feel you're devoid of strength or authority to make decisions or affect change. Oppression, this type of hopelessness is associated with a feeling of not being treated fairly or equally, and on a macro level. Systematic and persistent racism are examples that lead to oppression and hopelessness. Limitedness, you may feel as though you don't have enough resources or skills to achieve your goals, and you're facing physical or financial restraints. So powerlessness, oppression, and limitlessness. Dr. P, did you want to add anything to those three?
Nope, I think you hit them absolutely on the dot.
Okay, let's go into the next ones. Let's see. Natasha says, unbind and unblock your blessings. That's true, Natasha. And shout out to Natasha. I seen you on, I think it was with Anton. But your hair is so pretty, Natasha. Shout out to you. I love your hair. And your skin too. You have your skin has like a pretty glow to it. I don't know what you use on your skin, or I don't know if it's Canada Air, but shout out to Natasha. Let's see. Let's see. Yeah, yeah. Vaughn is, yeah, he's always rocking it. She said, "Shut up, Miss B." Agreed. Vaughn is always on his p's and q's. Yes, he's on top of it. Let's see. Da, 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 da. All right. Let's go back into this. Um, all right, guys. So once again, if you're just getting the stream, we're talking about the different forms of hopelessness. I'm here with Dr. P. We're going to round this on off and go through our call to action after I go through this. Such a great episode. So much information and detailed information from Dr. P, and me breaking down these aspects, what it looks like, how we can facilitate, how we need to step in and out of relationships. This is going to help and bless a lot of people. If they take heed and listen. The last three are doom, captivity, and hopelessness. So as far as being helpless, doom was the survival hopes. It talks about this form of helplessness has to do with feeling condemned to a certain negative outcome in life. This is despair, right? So I think this one is really, really something a lot of people feel. This despair may come from early events in your life, from facing chaotic and terminal illness. Captivity, survival, and attachment hopes. You may face this type of hopelessness if you've been a physical prisoner at some point in your life, or you've been in an abusive relationship that made you feel that you weren't free to act and do as you wish. It's also possible to develop this emotion if you feel you stayed in harm's way or allowed others to mistreat you because you felt that you deserved it. And then helplessness, survival, or mastery hopes. Feeling you're unable to stand up for yourself or act without someone's help may result in this form of hopelessness. So Dr. P, as far as these 9 aspects of hopelessness, we're going to round it off to our call of action. And this is what we do at the end of streams, Dr. P, where I let the viewers and the Finesse fam know ways that we can cope with and deal with these things, how we can move forward as far as a group and society, and things that we need to keynote, things that we should pay attention to. So at this point, Dr. P, I'm going to give you the floor and let you speak on, add on, elaborate on anything that we talked about dealing with hopelessness, and how the subscribers and the Finesse fam can move forward when they're feeling these things, and how they can engage with being more positive and getting a better aspect when we're dealing with hopelessness.
Yeah. So hopelessness is a tricky one because a lot of things kind of make us hopeless and stuff. Getting out of it is gonna take even more work to because we have to identify when we're in it, and sometimes we overlook it because we're busy, and we keep ourselves busy. But remember, keeping ourselves busy and not giving us time to rest is also a sign of I don't want to deal with what's going on because I do feel a little hopelessness. Remind your dreams, if you stop wanting to do what you used to want to do, that's a telltale sign. um Watch your inner circle. I you have to bring yourself, but watch your inner circle too, because you have to have that peace enough within your inner circle and your circle to gather some support. Because hopeless, like a little another portion of you, does it go away? Nope. We're always transpiring into something. Like right now we're probably in the part of the doom hopelessness because we
Mm-hmm.
figure this ain't going nowhere, and we don't know how to balance it all. So just be mindful of your inner circle these days, especially now. Be mindful of the people you keep. Be mindful of your peace. um be mindful of your boundaries and your expectations of people, because that can send you spiraling down. Be mindful of other people, and how and what we do to say, because even though we don't want to be hopeless, what if we're projecting our hopelessness to someone else, you know? So you want to be mindful of all those things. And be real and honest with yourself too. Identify where your hopelessness comes from, because if you don't identify it and you want to be in denial, then you're not going to get yourself out of it and you're not going to work through it. Can you come out of it for a time in a place? But I guarantee you, out of one of the 9, you're going to be sunk. But you need some real good coping skills. Start working on some really good coping skills for yourself. And if it's a person that gives you positive affirmations every day, or every time you see that person, they give you a word that says, hey, and it brightens up your day, then that's the person that you need to see. Because that means that you trust that person enough, and you know, out of all things, she's never going to say anything. She's never going to judge. She's never going to do this. Him or her is never going to do it. And they will be your person to help you with that hopelessness. But don't be afraid to find that support where you think there were no support at. Open up, communicate with somebody, let them know what's really going on, and don't hold it in. Key factors, you know.
Yeah, it's important and imperative, guys. Vaughn, you should have been paying attention. I told you, Vaughn, I accidentally clicked on it because I was looking down at my phone, because I keep my phone here to the side because, you know, I get important messages and calls during the stream sometimes. So I had it to the side, Vaughn, and I seen a bot. And I looked down and I seen it there, and I forget on StreamYard, you can be deleting it, Vaughn, and I don't see it. I'll see it on StreamYard, but it's not there. And I accidentally clicked her name instead of the bot, Vaughn. So I did not do that, Vaughn. That was just me. I'm going to let you do your job, and I'm going to stay out of the chat. Hey, Brittany. Shout out to Brittany B. She's in the building. Let's see who else just popped in here. She Stole My Thunder. I don't know if I said shout out to you because we were talking earlier, but shout out to She Stole My Thunder. Who else? Natasha says, she says, oh, thank you, Mrs B Finesse. Shout out to the Canadian air, for real, for real. Yeah, I mean, your skin is just glowing. It's so pretty. Whenever I see you.
In the Canadian air?
Yeah, she's in Canada.
She's in Canada. She box it up and send it.
Right. Yeah, She Stole My Thunder. They're all in Canada. Canada. Pure Pondering says, Mrs. B Finesse, I can relate to what you're reading. I keep doing research on how to get rid of generational curses. A lot of times that is just more so just saying, like, I don't want to be part of this. Like, saying, like, I'm not what my family is. A lot of times, guys, you got to kind of talk to yourself. You got to speak to yourself. And I think a lot of times, like, we don't realize how powerful our words are. You guys don't realize even when you're saying things about people, how powerful it is. Oh, she gets on my nerves. And then you wonder why, like, a couple weeks to a month later, the person, like, really starts getting on your nerves. You got to be careful what's coming out of your mouth. Like, because whatever comes out of your mouth, it comes from the heart, which is your mind. And a lot of times we don't realize, sometimes you got to change up here. Even if you don't feel it yet, change what you're saying up here, because it's going to come out of your mouth. And then when it comes out of your mouth, it is what it is at that point, because you believe it. Because you're not going to speak anything out of this mouth that you don't believe. Ergo, watch what you say about yourself. Because the things and thoughts you're saying about yourself, when they come out of your mouth too, it's what's going to be your truth. And that's a whole nother it's a whole nother live stream. That might be that's the Patreon live stream right there, because that's some deep level stuff. I'm gonna have to shout out to Patreon. I'm gonna start that. I'm getting things together in the new year. I'm not just trying to start a Patreon to have one. I'm organizing all these things, but that definitely would be a Patreon conversation, because I mean, a lot of times we just have to be careful with what's coming out of our mouth. Shout out to K Love. Now, I'm glad that you are here. Let's see. She Stole My Thunder. You're hilarious. Vaughn, come on now. I told you, Vaughn. You talking about some whew, I'm back. Cars says, thank you, Dr. P, for your delightful, insightful, and valuable narratives. If you guys haven't, make sure you guys subscribe to the education channel. I'm going to be updating. There's so many things going on this year, guys. Oh my gosh, so many exciting things. I'm so super busy doing things in the background. It's so awesome. Once again, guys, just understand, try to set my game, not my heart, if you guys don't see me a lot, because there's a lot of things I'm doing in the background I'm super excited about. Let's see. Oh, yeah, I mean, we all do it on accident. Caleb said, oh, he removed Gail's on accident. I mean, like I said, Vaughn's doing a great job. I just happen to, like I said, the stream on StreamYard, even though you delete things, it still shows up. So I had looked down and I'm like, oh, and then Vaughn had already, he took care of it before I even looked down. Left-handed. You guys are so silly. She Stole My Thunder. She should just admit it. Vaughn was too awesome and you need to give him a break. Vaughn is so cool. Shout out to Vaughn. Let's see. Pure Pondering says, so true. Too many people think it's just words. They don't realize its power. Yeah, and I think like a lot of times people are so like, oh, it's just words. It's just what I'm saying. And we don't realize, guys, our words are formulating our thoughts, which formulate our perceptions, which formulate your habits, which formulate what your mindset is. Like a lot of times, like, it's you. Your worst critic is you. It's really not what other people are saying to you or doing. It's what you believe. So if somebody says you're dumb, you're stupid, I hate you, you're a hater, you don't show up for me, you don't do this for me, you were never there for me. Now it's what you take from that. So if you hear all those words and you say that's true, you didn't show up for them, you do hate them, you don't like them, and if you believe those words up here, now it's the truth. But I don't care what somebody says about me. I told you guys. I mean, Dr. P, no, I don't have a problem with the gift of goodbye, especially when I know my heart and intentions are right and I know I didn't do anything to harm you or hurt you. It's easy. It's easy to let people go and let things go for me because, like I said, my base and my balance is my husband and my family, and then all the my extended family, which goes out to, you know, my mother, everybody else, Dr. P, all the people that are super close to me, my friends and family. At that point, that's when I'm noticing things. But a lot of times, guys, I think we get so caught up in receiving the words people are saying about us, and it becomes our truth. And the thing about it, which is another show, it's your subconscious. It's not really, you like when you hear it, you're like, oh, I don't believe it, but it festers. All right. I'm gonna have to do a stream about that. How you guys don't realize like the words that you are receiving are your truth. It's not the truth that's the truth. It's what you're receiving and telling yourself. Yep, Vaughn, you're right. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Yes, yes, yes. K Love says so true. Yes, Brittany says you have to, it's called guard your heart. And guys, your heart is really your mind, because your mind is basically your feelings, your emotion, and it's perpetuated by your thoughts. So yes, you definitely have to guard your heart, your thoughts too. Today's topic: people are hopeless in relationship. And yes, let's see. Natasha says, much success in advance for you. Thank you. That's what, and see right there, you call things as they were, even if you don't see them. You guys don't understand these type of things. I appreciate these sentiments so much. And you guys are the reason why I'm here, because you guys were speaking things before we even got to hit these milestones. We're going to hit that 1K and get to 10K. And like, it's going to shoot so much just because you guys' belief in the concept of this channel, you guys' belief in the purpose of this channel, and you guys' belief in me. So I'm so super excited about, you know, this year and all the things. And thank you for that, Natasha. She says, much success in advance for your Patreon, Mrs B Finesse. Can't wait to hear more details when you're ready. Definitely. And I'm going to be touching base with you guys, the Finesse fam, to see the kind of things you want to hear and see in it, because I have this like different levels of what I know I can do in the Patreon. So I'm definitely going to touch base with you guys to see what you want in it too. K Love says, yes, self-talk is important. And Vaughn says, Finesse fam, yes, we are faithfully innovating, inspiring, naturally effective, and we seek success every day. So with that being said, we're right at our little soft spot of the 2-hour mark, guys. I definitely I'm working on now, guys, getting the short form videos out. Trying to learn this stuff and get it done, guys, and get the help to do that too. And so I'm going to be trying to release more short forms of the long form videos so you can send them out, share them, and just get this ball rolling, guys, to this 1K. I'm super excited about it already. I already feel it, and so I'm just so excited about that moving forward. Shout out to you guys at Finesse fam for always being here, always supporting, always sharing this information. And guys, big things are here right now. I'm so super excited to tell you guys about things that are coming. But once again, guys, thank you, Dr. P, for being here. I appreciate your time. I know our time is of the essence, and we will be back with another one.
Get out of here. Y'all see how quickly I'm running out of here? She's still talking, I'm packing up.
Look, let me hit that outro on them boys in. Bye, guys. Have a good day.